Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wingcat Sports, and it's our NFC North breakdown for the weekend. Also looking at next week for all the other teams in NFC North besides the Lions. We will start out. I'm actually not going to start with the Lions this time. We're going to start out with the losses in the division. Thursday night, good for all the other teams in the NFC North. The Rams pulling out a victory over the Minnesota Vikings. They did not look as good, and it continues to show the potential curse of playing the Lions because every single time a team plays the Lions next week, they end up losing.
Well, I don't
no
think
matter
that
what.
was so much the case.
But short week and playing a better Rams team that got Cooper Kupp back and Puka Nacua back. And they just probably ran into the wrong team at the wrong time, and now they have fallen into the division, and the Lions extend their lead.
Well, yeah, it was a big loss for them because it's losing to us, and then I'm sure they were down. They had to go.
It was a short week.
On a short
It's
week
not even a bad
to Los Angeles, so they probably haven't gotten over the loss to us yet. And like you said, coupled with the fact that the Rams are a good team. If they got their
offense back,
when they're healthy, the Rams are a really good team.
And Darnold didn't even play bad. He threw for 240 yards, 2 TDs. They only had one guy rush. Minnesota only ran the ball with Aaron Jones. 19 carries for 58 yards. No one else had a rushing attempt on their team besides Sam Darnold for 6 yards. But outside of that, Matthew Stafford came in, threw for 280 yards, 4 TDs on him. Had Puka Nacua, had Cooper Kupp, and they were fine.
They got game of the year, really. I mean, people, we know Matthew Stafford, especially everyone in this division should know Matthew Stafford. He's a really good quarterback. And when he has weapons to throw to, he can beat you. He can beat anybody. So I don't know why people are surprised by that. It is, and they have to win. They're still in their division. Their division is very close.
Yeah.
Not like ours, but ours is really close too. But we're all good. They're all crappy.
So far, all 4 NFC North teams are still in the playoffs. Looking at the other loss that happened in the division this week, the Bears losing off a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
Unlucky.
Washington outplayed them, though, the whole game, so I don't feel so bad. It's not like
18-15 was the final score for that game. Again, Hail Mary. Caleb Williams only completed. He was not good. I'll say that, actually, looking at his numbers. He was 10 for 24.
Yeah.
And 131 yards. So did not look good that game. It was their rushing attack. They rushed for 200 yards in total between Swift.
Right.
Rushing for 129. Williams ran for 41. Like they had plenty of rushes going on to help them. It was not Caleb Williams who would have got them that win.
Their pass protection is still pretty awful. And I just think this Daniels kid, man.
Jayden Daniels.
He's just
326
awesome.
Yards and a TD, which ended up being the Hail Mary. That was the TD.
Against a very good Chicago defense. I think that's the only reason Chicago was in that game. Their defense is very good.
They also ran for 168 yards on them. So, but again, it was a good game. The Bears should not feel like that there was a bad game for them to play. Caleb Williams obviously needs to play better. And if he probably did, they probably would have won that game a lot easier. Also, probably if you didn't run, we know, with a backup center on the goal line, that probably would have helped them get some points out of that too.
Sure.
The 2 wins in the division that happened this week. I'm going to go to the Packers before we talk about our quick talk with the Lions. Packers, they ended up winning last second again, 30-27 over the Jaguars. Realistically, they probably should have lost. Looking at how it went, I mean, you should not have had a game that close against the Jaguars, but luckily for them, Malik Willis went 4 for 5 on that final drive for 56 yards. Jordan Love did exit with a groin injury, sprained groin. However, he is day-to-day, so he might be ready for next week's game for the Packers. But Jordan Love was 14 for 22 for 196 and an interception. They ran for 170 on the Jaguars, as that defense was not able to keep Trevor Lawrence in check. When he threw 21 for 30 out of 32 for 308 and 2 TDs. So Trevor Lawrence threw on them a bunch because they only ran for 91 yards. If that's how you're going to play against the Jaguars, it's not going to be pretty next week when the Packers play the Lions, because the Jaguars' offense isn't that great.
Right.
So they got to be able to. If you're the Packers, you want to be able to play better than that when you go play the Lions this week.
I think they will. I think they will. We'll see. But
it also depends on who their quarterback is about to be. Malik Willis.
Malik Willis worries me. Anybody who's mobile right now, and he's very mobile, it worries me playing against the Lions. I guess we'll talk about whether or not where the update is as far as if they can pick somebody up. But, they lost out on Uchi today. How do you say his name?
Probably something like that.
Or something like that.
For the Patriots. He went to the Chiefs.
Yep, he went to the Chiefs, who already have a loaded defense. They didn't even need anybody, the bastards, and they took our guy, probably. But we need somebody. We do need somebody, and not somebody who's just a scrub. We need somebody who is going to at least be effective and be able to get to the passer. I don't know who that could be. They keep saying that, Max Crosby is out of it and Myles Garrett is out of it. And so I don't know who's left.
Yeah. I mean, probably Hendrickson, I'm going to assume from Cincinnati.
Hendrickson would be the best case.
It's probably who they're going to go
that's
after.
The case. I mean, he's the only one left.
Lions-wise, they had a good game. They trounced the Titans. First win against the Titans in their franchise history since they moved to Tennessee. Overall, again, though, we get our post game on that game. Really, just special teams was what won them that game for the most part. On top of your offense being inside the 30 all the time, right, having no issues. But we went over most of that. It was just a good all around game for the Lions and a good motivator into the game next week against the Packers. But we'll go through the division real quick before we look at any future games. When it comes to the standings, right, Lions still lead NFC North. It's only a 2-game difference. Packers and Vikings are still technically in the playoffs in the wild card. And the Bears are 1 game back of Philadelphia in the wild card. So almost all 4 NFC North teams are there. But you have also the Lions have a half game lead on Washington for the number 1 spot in the NFC. So there you go. There's your quick standings. But looking at next week, obviously I've already mentioned a couple times, Lions versus Packers. It's a big game for the Packers and really the division in whole. Packers can end up beating the Lions. The division's tied.
It's really big for both of us. If the Jaguars had been able to beat the Packers, we could have at least relaxed a little bit, and if they had beaten us. But now, Packers take the lead in the division if they beat us. So, I mean, I don't know.
It's going all over. Yeah. Really. It goes all over the place.
So, I mean, this is a huge game. And I'd like to see, like I said, we're going into it without a pass rusher.
Potentially. Nothing's happened yet. At this point, probably.
You still think they're going to do something?
I think they'll do something after this game. Most likely.
After this game? Yeah. After the Green Bay game?
Yeah.
What's the point?
They'll do something after Green Bay.
What's the point?
For the rest of the year.
They're going to lose this game? I mean, I would think they'd want somebody for this game.
No matter what now, whoever you trade for, they won't be playing.
Why?
They won't be here long enough. I don't think that they'll, because by the time, because you make a trade,
you're just saying
it is Monday.
It
is Monday when we're making this video. If something isn't done by the time this video goes out on Wednesday, I don't think anything's going to happen.
If something's done tomorrow.
If something's done Tuesday, which again, we record this on Monday and it's going out on Wednesday. If something happens in the previous day when this comes out, then they'll play. If something happens either after this video comes out, depending on the time, or Thursday, they're not going to play. Later in the week, I don't expect them to play. But look at the other games going on. The Vikings do have a home primetime game this week on Sunday Night Football. They should win. They're playing the Indianapolis Colts, who are struggling right now. Anthony Richardson is not the person who they thought he was going to be right now. He's tapped himself out of the game.
So they should win that. So they should get back.
I think the Vikings will win, and they'll be 6-2 next week. And then the Bears themselves have their game. They're going to go to Arizona to play the 4-4 Cardinals. It's actually a very, very closely betted on game. Arizona is only favored by 1.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's getting starting to get must wins. They got to keep up with us and
All of
the
them do.
Packers and the Vikings. They got to keep up with everybody. So the Bears are getting to a point where they can't afford to lose.
The
games.
Bears need to win their next 2 games if they want to stay in the division, because after their next 2 games, the Bears are going to end up playing the Packers, Vikings, and Lions 3 straight games.
And I think they'll lose all 3 of those games.
Funny enough, they have 3 home games in a row before they come to Detroit. They play the Patriots at home, the Packers at home, and the Vikings at home.
Well, they should beat the Patriots. They should beat the Cardinals, I'm thinking. But that's a close game. I don't know.
It's right now, it's a 1-point favorite towards Arizona in that game. So that's a close game. Right. I mean, betting favorites because I'm sure that is going to be a game that most people want to know the betting favorite right now. Betting favorite right now for the Packers games is the Lions are favored to win by 3.5, 47.5 over under, with the Lions having a 61% chance to win. Now, if the Lions win in Green Bay, I think it's the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah.
That they've won in Green Bay. And most of my childhood has been we never win in Green Bay.
Right. Most of my childhood, I'm going to farther we haven't really won in Green Bay.
So it's more or less a recent trend to winning in Green Bay. I think the streak started when we went to Green Bay to see that game.
Well, right. I mean, like I said, we saw Aaron Rodgers last game, and we're probably seeing Aaron Rodgers last season and stuff the way
the Jets are looking. But right now, it is a favorite towards the Lions 3.5. So overall, they expect the Lions to expand their division lead and everything else, probably get a little bit closer inside the division everywhere else. But it should be a good week of football overall and not be that bad to watch. With all that being said, though, if you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, let us know what you think about all the teams going on in the AFC North. And until next time, hope to see everybody soon.